Today we are going to discuss drugs used in the treatment of cough. So, first we need to know what is cough. Cough is a protective reflex intended to remove irritants and accumulated secretions from the respiratory passage. So, what is cough? Cough is a protective reflex intended to remove irritants and accumulated secretions from the respiratory passage. So there are two types of cough. One is number one is productive cough and number two is the non-productive cough. So what is productive cough? The productive cough is that which helps to clear the airway. Suppression of productive cough is harmful as it may lead to infection. So what is productive cough? Which helps to clear the airway. So if we want to remove or suppress the productive cough, then it is harmful because it may lead to infection. In the other words, what is the non-productive cough? This is useless and should be suppressed. Non-productive cough, we should always remember that non-productive cough is useless and should be suppressed. Okay, so now come that the drugs which is used in the symptomatic treatment of cough. We should remember that the treatment of the cough includes in the symptomatic treatment. So the approach is to give the symptomatic relief to the patient. So there are the classifications of for the drugs used in the cough. Number one is the pharyngeal demulcents. So first we need to know what is pharyngeal demulcents. The pharyngeal demulcents may be used when cough arises due to irritation above the larynx. This is very important because pharyngeal demulcents is used when cough arises due to irritation above the larynx. So what happens, that is there is increased salivation and produce protective soothing effect on the inflamed mucosa. So what are the examples? The examples are the lozenges, cough drops, glycerin, the liquorice, etc. So the lincutates containing syrup, etc. These are the pharyngeal demulcents. Number two is the expectorants. So what is expectorants? First we need to know. So expectorants are, they increase the volume of bronchial secretion and reduce viscosity of sputum. Hence cough become less tiring and productive. What they do? They increase the volume of bronchial secretion and reduce viscosity of sputum. Hence cough become less tiring and productive. So first we need to know that there are two types of the bronchial expectorants. That is these expectorants are also called as the mucokinetics. There are two types. That is, number one is the bronchial secretion enhancer and number two is the mucolytics. So what is bronchial secretion enhancer? What are the examples? These are the sodium or potassium citrate, number one. Number two is the potassium iodide. Number three is the guaifenesin, that is the glyceryl guaiacolate. Number four is the balsam of Tolu, the Vasoka and the ammonium chloride. Here the potassium iodide, the prolonged use of the potassium iodide can affect thyroid function and produce iodism. So it should be used carefully because potassium iodide prolonged use can affect thyroid function, because here the iodide is there and produce the iodism. Okay, and number two is the mucolytics. What are the mucolytics? What is its function? Mucolytics break the thick tenacious sputum and lower the viscosity of sputum. This is essential because when the viscosity of the sputum lowering occurs, so that the sputum comes out easily with less effort, these are the main reasons why mucolytics are used, because the thick tenacious sputum, it breaks the thick tenacious sputum and lower the viscosity of the sputum, so it is very easy for the sputum to come out with less effort. And what are the examples? The examples are the bromhexine, number 1, number 2 is the ambroxol, number 3 is acetylcysteine, and number 4 is the carbocysteine. So these are all the expectorants. Under expectorants, there are number 1 is the bronchial secretion enhancer. We already discussed it, and number 2 is the mucolytics. Here, first we also elaborate that what are the functions of the individual drugs. That is what the bromhexine do as a mucolytics. The bromhexine liberates the lysosomal enzymes which digest the mucopolysaccharides, so that it decreases the viscosity of sputum, so cough becomes less tiring and productive. Here it should be remembered that bromhexine particularly useful if mucus plugs are present. So where bromhexine useful? It is particularly useful if mucus plugs are present. So if we see that in any patient the mucus plugs are present, then bromhexine will be the drug of choice. The side effects of bromhexine is the rhinorrhea and the lacrimation. Okay, and what are the action of the acetylcysteine and carbocysteine? Acetylcysteine and carbocysteine, these two opens disulfide bonds in mucoproteins of sputum, so the sputum becomes thin and less viscid, and the cough becomes less tiring and productive. The ultimate goal is so that the cough can comes out easily. This is the main reason. So this was the mechanism of action of acetylcysteine and the carbocysteine. What are the side effects of acetylcysteine and carbocysteine? These are the nausea, vomiting, and bronchospasm. Now here we should also remember that acetylcysteine has to be administered directly into the respiratory tract. This is a problem, whereas the carbocysteine is administered orally. So the acetylcysteine has to be administered directly into the respiratory tract, whereas the carbocysteine is administered orally. So the approach of delivering the drug is different, but their mechanism of action is same. Next is the antitussives. These are the another classifications for the drugs for cough, and these are the antitussives are the cough center suppressants. So what they do? Now, what is their mechanism of action? As a whole, they act in the CNS to raise the threshold of cough center, or act peripherally in the respiratory tract to reduce the tussal impulses, or both these actions. Either they can do one action, that is they act in the CNS to raise the threshold of cough center, or they act peripherally in the respiratory tract to reduce the tussal impulses. Either one this function they are doing, or they are doing the both actions. When they do the both actions, then the actions is more elaborating, that is they are more efficacious. So they are used only for symptomatic treatment of cough, unproductive cough, or if cough is unduly tiring, disturbs sleep, or is hazardous, such as in cases of the hernia, piles, ocular surgery, cardiac disease. So in that cases, all these cases, these antitussives can be used easily. But here we should also remember that antitussives should be avoided in children below the age of 1 year. So the children who are below 1 year age, the antitussives should not be used. So now we should know the under these antitussives what are the drugs available. Number 1 is the opioids. Under opioids there is codeine and folcodeine. Number 2 is the non-opioids, noscapine, dextromethorphan, and cholpedinol. These 3 drugs under the non-opioids. And number 3 is the antihistaminics. Under antihistaminics, the chlorpheniramine, diphenhydramine, and promethazine. We all know that the these three opioids, non-opioids and antihistaminics. The choice of the drugs where we can use which drugs, I am coming next. But before that, we should know that codeine suppresses cough for about 6 hours. Antitussive action is blocked by naloxone. So the duration of action for codeine is that it suppresses cough for about 6 hours. But what are the main drawbacks of the codeine? Constipation is the chief drawback of codeine. At higher doses, respiratory depression and drowsiness can occur. So contraindicated in asthmatics and in patients with diminished respiratory reserve. So codeine should not be used for all patients. It is contraindicated in asthmatics and in patients with diminished respiratory reserve. Because what are the reason? Because at higher doses, respiratory depression and drowsiness can occur. Number 2, under the non-opioids, there is the drug noscapine. So this noscapine is specially useful for the spasmodic cough. So if anyone has the spasmodic cough, then noscapine will be the drug of choice. It can release histamine and produce bronchoconstriction in asthmatics. Okay, so it depresses cough but has no narcotic, analgesic or dependence inducing properties. This is a very helpful for noscapine because it depresses cough. It is specially useful for the spasmodic cough but has no narcotic, analgesic or dependence inducing properties. Okay, next is the dextromethorphan, which is also a non-opioid. It is the D-isomer, has selective antitussive action, while there is also a L-isomer available which is analgesic. So D-isomer of the dextromethorphan is antitussive action, while the L-isomer of the dextromethorphan is an analgesic. The dextromethorphan is centrally acting antitussive agent, obviously the D-isomer, and it does not depress mucociliary function. Antitussive action is not blocked by naloxone. We already know that the antitussive action of the codeine is blocked by naloxone, but the antitussive action of dextromethorphan does not blocked by naloxone. Next is the cholfedianol. This is also a centrally acting antitussive and it has slow onset and longer duration of action. It has slow onset and longer duration of action, and it is a centrally acting antitussive. It is also under the non-opioids. And next is coming to the antihistaminics. And what are the actions of the antihistaminics as a drug for cough? These antihistaminics specially promoted for cough in respiratory allergic states. We all know histamine is responsible for the allergic states, and so antihistaminics are used for specially promoted for cough in respiratory allergic states. And last is the bronchodilators, but it is actually the adjuvant antitussives. It should be used only when an element of bronchoconstriction is present and not routinely. So if there is a bronchoconstriction present, then bronchodilators can be used. And what bronchodilators? The salbutamol, terbutaline, etc. can be used. So we can say that these are the adjuvant antitussives. Only the bronchodilators are adjuvant antitussives. So these are all about the drugs for cough. And in the next lesson we are going to learn about the bronchial asthma. If you like my video, please click the like button and share. Thank you. Today we are